watch this?
How?
Ew,
How do you watch this?
Dude, I'm gonna pee my pants.
You're listening to How Do You Watch This, a movie review podcast where each week one of us reviews a movie the other selected in the genre they love and we don't. My name is Megan and I love romance.
My name is Demi and I love horror.
And this is a romance week, so I picked Penelope for Demi.
Yep.
Review.
And it's for, if you remember, the common thread, female name movie title, something like that.
The worst. Okay, yeah, that was a really long intro, but yeah.
It's Penelope. So,
or common thread, but yeah.
Yeah. So the genre is rom-com fairy tale, I guess.
Okay.
Director Mark Polanski, and year release 2006.
Okay.
So my snapshot.
Which, to be clear, because I did talk about it a little bit last year, it was released in 2006, but it wasn't in theaters in the US until July of 2008.
Oh, okay.
Just because I remember telling you I saw it in 2008. I didn't see it in theaters.
Yeah, you're right. It says British American, so I wonder if it was released early.
It was released in the UK earlier. Yeah. And then because it was filmed in the UK. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
That's why I was thinking 2008 in my head, and then when I looked it up, I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm wrong, but that's where I was getting it from.
That's why.
2006 or 2008, depending on where you're at,
where
I guess. So my snapshot is Penelope is born with a pig face due to a family curse, which can only be broken by being loved by her own kind. She soon learns to take control of her own life and learns to love herself just as she is. And it's funny, when I first saw the description of her being loved by her own kind, I thought it meant like a pig person. And I was like,
stop!
But she has to break the curse. Like, why would she be with a pig person? It's blue-blooded, high society, rich person. So
that's hilarious.
It's like, oh wow, there's gonna be more to this movie than I thought.
Yeah, there's a whole army of pig people.
Okay, let me grab my other notes.
Okay. I am very curious what you're gonna think about this.
I didn't hate it.
Okay.
I think it was interesting. I think it had a cute idea and concept, but I don't think it was executed as well as they thought it would. So we'll get to that. But I thought it was cute. You know, I really didn't hate it like your ex-best friend who's a loser. So
okay. Good, we can stay friends now.
So the story begins with a once upon a time, as all fairy tales do. And Penelope is talking about her family. So her family are the Wilherns, and her great-great-great-grandfather had a curse put upon the family because he had this little fling romance with a servant girl, and he comes from a very wealthy, blue-blooded family. And so when he brought it up to his family, they pretty much laughed at the idea. So he was like, yeah, you're right, that's stupid. And marries another blue-blooded high society girl, which breaks the heart of the servant girl, and she ends up killing herself. And her mother is the town witch, unfortunately for them, and curses them. So she basically puts a curse that the next girl born to the family will be born with the face of a pig, and the curse can only be broken by her being loved by someone of her own kind, which is blue-blooded, high royal, whatever. So high royal family, the rich, generational wealth. That's the term. So the first official girl to be born is Penelope, and she is born to her parents. Her mother's name is Jessica. I'm just gonna call her Penelope's mom because there's a few people in this movie. It's just easier to call her that.
Yeah,
so they're, of course, freaking out because Penelope's born with this cute little, it's a pig nose, and she's got the pig ears. That's the extent of the pig face. It could have been worse.
It's not bad. It's really, like, she's pretty. It works. She can make it work.
Yeah, it's cutesy. So the family is, of course, distraught by this, and they're a wealthy, well-known family, so they have usually paparazzi coming after them, so they're doing their best to hide Penelope from the world. And then as a baby,
because the world knows about the curse too, apparently.
Yeah, so
they're
they're trying to
Like,
see
confirmation.
Yeah, trying to see her face. And so one journalist gets close. His name's Lemon, and he's played by Peter Dinklage, who you all know from Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
So he manages to get close, but the mom pretty much messes his eye up and scars him. And
he beats him with like a kitchen utensil.
Yeah. And so
loses the eye.
Yeah, and from that, the mom decides to fake Penelope's death so that the paparazzi would just stop harassing them. Not a terrible idea, but Lemon...
Not a great idea.
It's not great, but honestly, it's to get people off their backs. I could see why. Yeah. They had to go to that extreme, but as we'll see, the mom is a fucking psychopath. So Lemon is still salty about it, and he was even at like the fake funeral, and he will come back into play later in the movie. So
also, by the way, the mom is played by Catherine O'Hara, which if you watch any sitcoms, you'll know her from just like most recently. She's in a lot of shit, but she's most recently in shit.
Yeah.
I don't think you've seen.
No, I know Catherine O'Hara from Beetlejuice.
First.
She plays yet another psychotic mother, and Home Alone, of course. So yeah, she's very
She plays a good mom. Yeah.
Very known.
Good mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good, like not psycho mom, but like a little bit crazy. Like she's a little
a little out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, she because Schitt's Creek is just so funny.
I know.
It's
I hear
really
it's
good.
very good.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll watch it.
Maybe.
Like 10 years later. Guess what
I
finally watched?
I still need to get you to watch New Girl, so I
know.
I don't have any high hopes.
I know. It's really bad. Anyway. So Penelope is pretty much kept inside all her life because she's technically dead at this point.
It's very much like Frozen.
Yeah,
like
exactly. She's just, poor thing, is just being raised inside. And on her 18th birthday, her mother hires Wanda, a matchmaker, to pretty much gather suitors to marry her so they can finally break this curse. Every time a man... So the setup is Penelope has this one-way mirror, and she's in her room, and she can see the suitor can't see her. So they'll talk a little bit, and then she'll show her face, and then all of them will just run straight out the window. Mm-hmm. And after they jump out the window, they're caught by their servant.
Butler.
Yeah,
Butler. Mm-hmm.
And he makes them sign some sort of paper pretty much saying that whatever you see, like, you can't say anything or we're going to write some shit about you. So
it's like a non-disclosure agreement, basically.
Yeah. So this continues to happen, and we meet this one suitor, Edward. He's got a freaking long name, Edward Humphrey Vanderlyn or something, like the third. And so Edward...
Dude, did you know where Edward's from?
He looked so familiar and I didn't look him up.
You're gonna die.
Is he also Game of Thrones or no?
No, you're gonna die.
Oh,
he's Mr. Bingley.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yes, can you believe?
Oh my god, what a haircut could do. We're going back to the haircut. We're going back to the haircut. If you see him in Pride and Prejudice really compared to this movie.
Yeah, seriously, it wholly transforms a man and how his hair is.
He's done. The worst in this movie. He looked like what's his name in Game of Thrones, the half brother. Fuck, what's his name? The one that was abused by Ramsay.
Oh my god! All I can think about is the name that Ramsay gave him, which was Reek.
Reek.
I can't remember.
Yeah. I was trying Leech. Was it Leech?
No.
Reek.
Yeah, that one.
He reminded me of him, like a similar face.
Okay.
But anyway, that's Edward. Edward is doing his best, kind of, and the same thing happens. Penelope comes out and he freaks out. He runs out, jumps out the window, but this time he gets away. So he ends up running to a police station and tries to tell them that there is a pig-faced girl living there and she's got these sharp fangs, and
she's gonna kill him.
Yeah, no one believes him, of course, because that's insane. Right. And a journalist in the office overhears it and ends up writing an article saying that he pretty much had a panic attack at the police station and was raving about a girl with a pig face. And this is not good for Edward because he's in a wealthy family and cannot have his reputation ruined like that.
God forbid.
Yeah, God forbid. So he ends up returning the next day to complain to that journalist about the paper that was written. And Lemon overhears this conversation and remembers the whole thing about Penelope and him losing his eye trying to get this photo of a girl. So he's like, oh, you know what? Let's have a conversation. So they have a discussion, and Lemon pretty much tells him that he managed to get a glimpse of Penelope as a baby, but didn't get a full, picture, and did see that something was off. So Lemon and Edward decide to work together to clear their names and prove that Penelope indeed has a pig face. So their plan is to pay a blue-blooded suitor guy to pretend to be a suitor and grab a photo of her using a jacket that's rigged with a camera. And the way it works is that when you raise your hand, it'll snap a photo. So that's their genius plan.
Yeah.
So then we meet James McAvoy, who plays Maxwell Campion. And so he is a blue blood who gambled all his family's money away. So Lemon uses this to entice him to help them out. And he approaches Max and says, hey, I know you gambled all your...
I'll give you $5,000 if you can get...
Yeah, and Max says that, you have the wrong guy, tries to walk away, but ends up getting convinced with the $5,000. It's a lot of money for just a little thing to do. So Max ends up getting set up with the camera jacket, and he goes inside and gets brought into a room with at least 15 other suitors. Everyone's in there at once, which Penelope wanted because she wanted to try a new thing. She's just getting tired of all these men running. She knows exactly what's going to happen. So she gets them all in the room and walks in immediately to greet them, and they all just immediately run, of course, except for Max, because he jumped behind the couch when he first walked in to fix his camera jacket. Something was up.
Malfunctioning, yeah.
Yeah, so he's fixing it. So he never actually sees Penelope's face. So they all run out. Penelope thinks they all left, but then they realize Max is still in the room. So they're unsure if he saw her or not. So she goes back to the room to talk to him. And she sees him trying to take one of the books away to steal it, basically. And she's like, that one book you grabbed is the only book that's worth nothing in this room. And
she's saying there's literally thousands of books in here, and they're all first editions. And he managed to grab the only book worth less than $100.
Yep. So she tells him that he should take the Moby Dick one instead, and tells him where it is, and says that when she leaves, you can take it. So she pretends to leave her room to see if he would do it. And he does grab the book, and it looks like he's leaving with it, but then comes back in and is like, gotcha, thinking that she didn't leave the room, which is correct. She was watching him the whole time. So she asked if he would come back tomorrow, and he said he would. So they have a cute chemistry together already, and James McAvoy's very cute, except he has this greasy, shaggy haircut. He's still cute, but
it's very of the time.
Yeah.
But I had to look up pictures of James McAvoy because I was like, he definitely has better haircuts.
Yes.
He looks better. And it's yes, him with good hair is really attractive.
Because he does have
him with this hair, does look like a poor man.
A poor greasy son of a bitch who hasn't showered. He's still very handsome though. Very charming. So the next,
even without the accent, he's got an American accent he's using, but
he's still cute. So the next 2 days he does come back around. And it's the same situation. She's in her room, the one-way mirror. So he hasn't seen her yet. And she's trying to guess what instrument he plays. And they just have cute little moments together. He tries to convince her to go out to the pub with him and try a beer. And pretty much saying that she, can't be stuck in this forever. So the third day, she swears that Max knows the piano and asks him to start playing it. And he does, and he's playing it badly. And Penelope actually comes out to help. And he looks at her and he jumps back in shock. Because obviously you're not expecting this woman with a pig nose. So of course she feels bad. But he goes to reach out to her, and the camera flashes. And he flinches back because he's embarrassed. He was like, oh shit. But then
he realized that in that moment,
Yeah.
he was having this actual intimate moment with her where he was just gonna reach up and touch her, and then realized that he had captured a picture of her face,
Right.
And it was it kind of muddied the moment.
Yeah, and so Penelope thinks he pulled back because she's a monster and he thinks she's gross. So she just starts crying and runs out the room, and he tries to stop her. but she's not listening. So then Max runs out of the house to Lemon and Edward and ends up destroying the camera and calling off their agreement. But then Penelope's mom and Wanda end up seeing.
Which, by the way, he did try to end the arrangement earlier at one point once he kind of like knew she was a good person, but he had already gambled away all the money.
Yeah. He's addicted to gambling.
Yes.
So the mom ends up seeing Max with Lemon and recognizes Lemon. So then she goes inside to try and tell Penelope, and Max catches up to them. So they're all in the house and everything pretty much comes into light. And Penelope's just saying, I don't care, and saying that if Max could marry her still, and that once the curse was broken, she'd be back to normal. But if the
curse didn't break, she promised that she would kill herself, which is so dark.
It's awful. And so Max ends up declining and saying no. And Penelope tells him to leave. And she's, of course, distraught by this because she genuinely liked him. And I think this was just her final straw. She was like, this is my last fucking chance. I'm tired of this.
And as the viewer watching, you're like, I thought he really liked her too. And you're kind of like, why is he not accepting it? Especially because if he has a gambling problem, she does have a dowry and things like that.
Right. Yeah, so there's definitely some questions going on. And so at this point, Penelope's just tired of everything and decides to sneak out of the house. So she puts on this cute little scarf over her face. And so you can see only her eyes. And she sneaks out of the house. She ends up going into the city and gets a room at this hotel using her mommy's credit card. And so she gets to experience the city a bit and the world and people and is genuinely enjoying herself. Edward, meanwhile, has this awful drawing made of her, which looks like a pig-faced version of demonic Reagan from The Exorcist. It's awful. It is so mean. And he puts in a newspaper along with the request for any photos of Penelope, and they would get awarded the $5,000 that was intended to go to Max for his help. So that's out in the papers, and Penelope decides, you know what? Fuck it. She calls Lemon and says that she would send him the photos for the money. And so she goes and takes some cute photos. They're really cute in a photo booth. Yeah. And I forgot to say, it's Christina Ricci. She plays Penelope. Yes. And so she's very cute. And so she takes these cute photos and sends them off to Lemon. And then Lemon looks at the photos and realizes that Penelope is not a monster. Like she's just a girl. Yeah.
He was like, where the hell are these fangs that you're speaking of? Like, this is not a creature. This is a human being with a weird nose.
Yeah, and you can tell that Lemon is having second thoughts. He's like, we shouldn't put these photos in the paper. Edward, of course, does not care and gets the photos printed. So now her face is officially revealed, and they know that Edward was not lying about seeing a pig-faced girl. But
except nobody's on his side.
Yeah, no one gives a shit. But also Penelope's still covering her face at this point. So people are aware that there's a pig-faced girl around, and no one's putting two and two together that it could be this girl that's just constantly wearing a scarf over her face.
Right.
So then at this point, Penelope's at a bar and we meet Reese Witherspoon. I was like, what? She, I think, produced the movie. So I was like, okay.
This was like her first real production that she did.
Yeah. So she plays Annie, and Annie is this like spunky, gives no shit type of gal. And they become friends.
Type of gal? Yeah. How old are you?
That's what she's a gal.
Yeah, okay.
So they become friends, and Annie thinks that Penelope's covering her face due to a bad nose job, which is really funny. And so they're hanging out, and I feel like this was a really good potential lesbian romance.
Especially, that would have been so fun.
Yeah, they're riding on Annie's Vespa. I'm like, this is really cute, but of course, you know, we can't have anything good.
Fun fact about the Vespa, apparently both, I went deep, like I couldn't find that many fun facts, so I went deep into like my research, and I found this old article that Reese Witherspoon said when producing the movie, and she said that because her and Christina, is it Ricci or Ricci?
I think it's Ricci.
Okay.
Even though it's spelled R-I-C-C-I.
Yeah, because the two of them are both short, they couldn't reach the ground while on the Vespa, so they either needed to have stunt doubles do it, or on the scenes when there's no stunt doubles.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
The Vespa was attached to like this trailer, and it would just like pull them really slowly.
You could tell it was like a little fake-ish. Like it didn't break the movie because it had that vibe, but okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
They are very short people. I don't know their exact heights, but I know they're
I mean,
they're pretty short.
my first thought was like, why wouldn't you just find like a Vespa for shorter people? But whatever, you know.
Maybe they
Gotta be one, but
yeah,
whatever.
there should be some, right? You would think so.
You'd think, but
whatever, I guess. So anyway, they're hanging out. I don't know how many days pass. It seems like a few.
Yeah.
And Penelope's parents, of course, trying to look for Penelope because they're distraught that her face has been officially shown on the newspapers. So they've been trying to look for her. They were close to finding her because they realized that she used a credit card at the hotel. And they eventually do spot her just walking on the street, and they yell at her. And so Penelope's running, and Penelope ends up running into the same bar and ends up passing out in front of everyone. And before Penelope's mom could stop her, Annie removes the scarf because as a good friend, she wants to make sure she's okay.
She can breathe.
Yeah, so she removes the scarf and realizes that Penelope is the pig-faced girl. And from this, everyone ends up loving her, of course, because she's adorable. So paparazzi are all over her when she's at the hospital recovering. And after she gets out, they're all asking her questions. And Penelope low-key loves that. So she's a little excited, and she ends up leaving.
Well, she's also had zero social interaction with anyone outside her family her entire life, except for these men who supposedly want to marry her.
Right. So she's, this is an exciting thing for her, and she ends up talking to the paparazzi a bit and leaves with Annie on the Vespa, like a baddie. And she gets so popular, there's like newspaper articles, and one of them says that schools started banning pig Latin, which I thought was funny. So Edward, of course, is still trying to claim that she's a monster, but everyone's like, no.
Yeah, you wrong.
Everyone loves her. So Edward's father is like, yo, you need to cut your shit. Everyone adores her. You need to go out and marry her because you have all this negative publicity. Pretty much the only person that doesn't like her. So his dad's forcing him to go marry her. Max confronts Lemon about all the stuff in the newspapers, thinking that, it's his fault. And Lemon
gives him like $2,500. He's like, here's half of it. I'll get you the rest.
Yeah, half of the 5,000.
And which he earned honestly because he got a job and he's turning his life around.
He is, yeah. And Lemon tells him that no, Penelope actually sent him the photos and that she's, kind of just doing her own thing, taking control of her own life. And so this makes Max happy because he wanted that for her. And it actually inspires him to try and get back into music and this band that he was a part of. And he ends up seeing her too at the bar and tells her, everything, that he's been inspired by her and he's happy for her. But she, of course, doesn't really want much to do with him. And she kind of quickly walks away from him, which is fair. I don't know if I'd want to see him too.
Yeah.
Then Edward, is at Penelope's house, and he's trying to ask her hand in marriage. And the mom, of course, is very excited. She's like, this is it. The curse can finally be broken. But now Penelope's having second thoughts because she's like, well, I have friends now. And the mom says they're not your friends, they're your fans, which is really mean. I mean, of course, she has fans at this point, but she did make friends. She has friends. Yeah. So this convinces Penelope to consider Edward's proposal, and they end up getting engaged, which I was like, oh, what?
I know.
What?
I know.
Oh. So we cut to Lemon, who gets approached by the first journalist who wrote that article on Edward freaking out. Yeah. And he goes up to Lemon and says that he needs help with a story on Max Campion, saying that he's in jail for armed robbery.
Right.
And Lemon's like, what?
He's like, there's absolutely no way.
Yeah, so Lemon goes to see this Max in jail, and surprise, it's a different person. So it's actually one of the dudes who was playing poker with James McAvoy, Max. Yes. And so when James McAvoy is saying you have the wrong person, he was legit saying you have the wrong person. Yeah. So
how surprised were you? Were you like expecting it at all, or were you like, what?
I was not expecting it, but I did see that James McAvoy's name was different than Max when I was on the movie credits. I was like, why is his name Johnny? But I'm like, whatever. Yeah. And so it was like kind of when they said he was in jail for armed robbery, I'm like, okay, it has to be like a different dude, but I didn't expect. Yes. Fuck, who was the actor? I meant to look him up. Nick Frost. God, he has such a simple name. So that is who Max actually is, and James McAvoy is Johnny. His name's Johnny Martin, and he's not blue-blooded, which means that he denied Penelope's proposal because he knew he would be unable to break that curse for her, not because he wasn't interested.
Although I feel like he should have, at that point, just said, I'm not blue-blooded. Like, I don't know why
you
he
would
didn't
think.
tell her.
You would
Right.
think you'd have been like, I have to say no because of this. Because, like, yeah,
Right.
exactly. Why? What's holding him back at this point?
Right. I think that was the biggest flaw for me in this whole movie. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there were a few things where, like, nothing was said or done. And it's like, well, this probably could have been solved here.
Yes.
But
Yes.
whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's fairy tale.
Yep.
Miscommunication's important in these type of stories.
Sometimes.
So anyway, after Lemon finds out the truth, he relays this information to Penelope's mom and Wanda, the matchmaker. I like how I say Wanda and I don't do Penelope's mom. So he lets them both know, and he provides them with paper proof of everything about who Johnny is and what everything was about trying to get the photos of Penelope. And so Wanda wants to tell Penelope and feels like she has the right to know. But then the mom, Jessica, is against it. She's a bitch. And just wants the curse broken. So she doesn't want Penelope to know because she wants Penelope to continue with this wedding with Edward. So shitty of the mom. She doesn't care about anything about what Penelope wants.
All the mom cares about is her daughter having a normal.
Yep, yeah. And so this wedding's going on, and they're at the altar, and, you know, they're saying their I do's, but Penelope freezes up and ends up running away, calling off the wedding. So she runs back into
Let's talk about her dress for a second.
Okay. It's not
Because
great.
It's really bad. It's like a bedazzled corset with like feather train.
Yes.
And it's just like, why? I feel like they were trying to be super quirky and cute.
I feel like, personally, I felt like it fit the fairy tale-ness of it. Yeah. Like, it felt of the time, but also, like, it had that fairy tale twist to it, like a Cinderella. It's not, if someone wore that as a wedding dress now, it would be really, I mean, ever, it would be awful. Yeah. But because of, like, her character in the movie, I was like, oh, it's not a great dress, but, like, I guess I didn't see it that terribly.
I just felt like her outfits for the rest of the movie were like really fun, and they were kind of like Victorian chic, and I really liked the vibe of like all of her coats and all those things.
Yeah, no, she had a cute style.
Yeah, and then for her to suddenly be in a bedazzled corset, it just didn't fit the vibe. Like, I could find the feathers were like funky and weird. Like, I just feel like it could, I don't know. I always am let down by wedding dresses. And
I think too, like, it's supposed to represent that this wasn't for her. Like, it wasn't, she wasn't supposed to get married. You know, this isn't her dream wedding. None of it's what she wants. So, of course, the dress would be something that she probably would not actually want to wear.
Yes, you're right. You're very right.
So, maybe a little symbolic there. But yeah, definitely look it up if you love seeing ugly wedding dresses. So she runs off to her room, and the mom chases after her, and Penelope admits that she likes herself the way she is, and she doesn't care about breaking the curse anymore. And then bam, the curse is broken.
In the cheesiest way possible.
Because Penelope is a blue blood and admitted to loving herself, which means the parents never fully loved her.
Right. No. It wasn't about love, it was about acceptance.
Acceptance, yeah. Which means they never fully loved her, so.
Well, I don't know necessarily that they never fully loved her. They tried to imply that it was that they never accepted her as she was. There was always the hope that she would be something different.
Yeah.
But I agree with you in that if you love your child fully.
Because then the mom even brings this up, saying that she could have broken the curse herself a long time ago. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, you could have. And Penelope doesn't blame her, but I would have. And I would need some serious therapy after realizing.
For sure. For sure you would need severe.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it. You know, you want the best for your daughter, but it's like, looks aren't all that. She really was not ugly. She just had a pig nose and pig ears. Like, she could have looked a lot worse and a lot scarier. And then it would have been a more serious situation. But even then, it's like, who cares? You know?
Right.
Who cares?
I think, like, as a parent, the biggest concern would be you don't want your child to get bullied. and
Right,
like, have
exactly.
people make fun of them. So I
Which-
could see that being a concern with schooling or whatever.
Yeah, which that didn't
But-
seem like something the parents were really worried about, or at least the movie
No.
didn't seem like they cared that much. They just cared about her, I guess, ruining their image in a way.
Yeah, well, because since she was a child, her mom was teaching her how to be a good wife
Right.
and like
It's just really
And-
gross.
all that kind of stuff, and it's like that's not
Yeah.
at all
Not
the way it
as
should
not
be.
it. Yeah. So yeah, I think, you know, I don't hate that she herself broke the curse. I think I just didn't like that she this whole time hated how she looked, right? She even said she would kill herself, which is insane. And then once she got attention from people, she was like, I actually like the way I look. And I feel like
Yeah.
I understand, I get it, but I'm like, I think it just wasn't executed well.
That's fair.
You
No,
know,
that's fair. I
it's-
think like the idea behind it was this is a strong woman
Yes.
who is able to love herself and accept herself fully
Right.
and whatever. And I think that was admirable.
Yeah.
I do agree with you that it was like if it was done in a way where she had never become a famous
Mhm.
whatever personality or concept because
Right.
of her looks or whatever.
Just because of her face,
you know,
yeah.
She felt accepted because the world accepted her.
Right. You know, Shrek did it better.
Right, of course. But Shrek does everything better.
Shrek,
so-
you know, Shrek is love. So, anyway. So, after this, you know, Curse is gone. She's looks normal-ish, you know. She
Yeah. Looks like Christina Ricci.
Yep. She looks great, very cute. Then this is my delete. I didn't even say my most memorable. My most
yeah,
memorable
yeah.
scene is the curse being broken.
Okay, fair
Just because I kind of wasn't expecting it, but then I'm like, it kind of makes sense. That's what it was leading to. But then this next scene is this deleted scene. So the
Okay.
the
yeah.
butler
Yeah. Yeah.
is just leaving the house, and the mom's kind of like yelling at him, like, hey, where you can't leave, all this stuff, and he just like mutes her so she can't like talk anymore. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, the butler has powers, and he keeps walking, and he ends up turning into the witch from the beginning of the
Yes.
movie that cursed him.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
like, why is she here? Why
Yeah.
is she like? Has she been here this whole time, like fucking with
I
this family?
know.
It made no sense, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, delete the scene. We didn't
Yeah.
need this.
That was the goofy.
It was so goofy. It was so goofy. It would have been better if she was just like a stranger on the street and she like took the hood down. You were like, oh, it's the witch. She was like always kind of keeping an eye. But like, I don't know, her being like the butler, it just
was
whatever.
goofy.
It was goofy. Anyway, it's fine. So time passes, quite a bit of time passes, I believe, because Penelope ends up becoming a teacher, and she is, I should have wrote down the word, but
Horticulturalist.
thank you, study of plants, which is a very cute profession. So she,
Pause.
yes,
Do you want to know the irony?
what is the
Apparently, Christina Ricci
hates plants?
has a fear of plants.
Stop.
It's like a phobia. And hold on.
Wait, how do you have that?
I genuinely don't know. It's called botanophobia,
Shut the fuck
meaning
up.
the fear of house plants.
Stop. Megan.
And I googled it because I was like, "That's not real. Like, that's not a
No.
real thing." And then she had an interview with like Esquire or whatever, and she said she genuinely has a fear of houseplants where like it doesn't feel like they should be in the house and they're dirty. I guess it's like the
Like,
dirt of them.
okay.
It's weird. I'm assuming she kind of feels like it's an uncanny valley thing or whatever.
What?
But since like this interview, and it was all over, like if you Google Christina Ricci afraid of houseplants, like tons of articles come up.
Oh my god.
But apparently, like since then, she has houseplants in her house.
Okay.
So either she's overcome her
She's
fear,
healed.
or she just needed her house to look attractive, and she
And just
is okay
lives
living
in
with that.
fear.
I don't know.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't even know that was, I guess, I mean, there's anyone can have a fear of anything, but I just
Anything,
never
but
considered.
like that was not something that I had expected in it.
No, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Wow. So, yeah, so Penelope is a teacher for plants, and she ends up eventually getting the paperwork from Wanda, the matchmaker, and it's all the information on Johnny that they had.
It's Halloween, and
wait, no, I have my notes. Basically, Penelope finds out about Johnny, knows that he not blue-blooded, he had a different name, blah blah blah. And like you're saying, Halloween, and Penelope is a very popular costume, so people just have like this pig face mask and just wearing kind of like tattered looking dresses,
with the scarf.
Yeah, the scarf. And so Penelope decides to meet back up with Johnny, and so she's also dressed as Penelope. She has this pig mask, but it covers everything but her mouth. And it's weird. It's like the party's on his like apartment block.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not familiar with the concept, but maybe it's a thing.
Yeah, maybe it's a thing, because then she's there and she goes to his door and asks if she could use the bathroom, and Johnny doesn't recognize her because she's in a mask. And so they're kind of talking a bit, and you can see that Johnny's starting to realize like who this could be. And then once he definitely knows it's Penelope, he just kisses her. And he
I loved this kiss scene. It was
a
so
good kiss.
good.
It was a good kiss. Definitely a good kiss. And
I was like, yeah, James McAvoy can kiss me that way for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I'll forget all about that greasy haircut.
Yeah.
So he then apologizes to her and all this stuff. And she tells him, you know, the curse is broken. Like, I broke it. And they end up together, and the movie wraps up with her ending the story. She's telling this whole story to her students, and everyone is happy, blah blah blah, happily ever after. So that's how the movie ends. Okay, so most memorable scene was the curse break scene. Scene that should be deleted was the stupid fucking butler witch scene. Love interest Johnny smash, obviously. Side character, I did pass. There were a few people who could have worked as side character. I said the mom, so I passed. How likely are you to fall in love with this situation? I said a 9. I didn't do 10 because I could have maybe been a little too heartbroken by Johnny to go back to him.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's almost perfect. So
what'd you say? You said you would give it a what?
Oh, how likely I was to fall in love?
Yeah.
9.
9.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, sorry. I was in my own head first.
The migraine's taking over.
Yes.
I wouldn't recommend this. It's a little like back and forth. I didn't think it was a great movie, but it had more than just romance, so I don't know. I would just probably say no. Just you know.
Okay.
I gave it 3 hearts. I almost gave it 2.5, like half, but I'm like, yeah, you know, like I kind of liked it. I liked the fairy tale aspect of it. I think there were cute moments. I liked the idea of the movie, like the concept of the movie, but some things fell flat.
Yeah.
I think like the second half of the movie kind of was just falling off a little bit, but you know, overall it really wasn't that bad. You know, it's a cute movie. I think it's of the time. I don't think it ages super well, but you know, it is what it is.
It definitely could have been better, but I think at the same time, like anything that's like
anything with beauty.
With what?
With like beauty. Like, it's more than just a pretty face. I feel like it's difficult to really nail that, especially with female characters.
Yeah, and then in retrospect, like things that were in the early 2000s where they're like, this is revolutionary. We're saying that like you can be beautiful even if you're overweight and stuff like that. Things like that. Like you see that all the time. And it's like, yeah, obviously, duh.
Yeah. Thanks.
Now it's like, why you don't even need to say that, okay?
Yeah, no, the early 2000s were so bad.
Yeah.
They were so bad with that shit. Our self-esteems are fucking garbage.
Yeah, ruined.
But yeah, that's my review on Penelope.
Wow.
You don't have any more fun facts?
I'm tapped out of fun facts. There really isn't a lot of information that I haven't already shared about it. I mean, rewatching it, I've seen it a couple times. Travis was like walked in. He's like, have I seen it? I think I've seen this with you. I was like, probably. Probably have. I think that like in any of those movies, I'm always like, the love happens so quick, like the interest, and I wouldn't have minded if there was more build up to that. But that's also like when you're in a movie and it's a short amount of time and they're trying to say a lot, like
Yeah,
tell a
yeah.
big story.
And a lot of times,
Apparently,
oh,
go ahead.
I was gonna say a lot of time with fairy tales, it just tends to be like that, you know.
Like Romeo and Juliet. It's
Yeah,
just
there's an immediate chemistry. Sometimes there's some conflict, and they're like, I don't really like you, and then they come back together again. But usually, it's like, oh, I really like this guy, and it just works out.
Oh, I just remembered that one of the things, I think that this was like the script was something that Reese Witherspoon had for like 4 or 5 years before it ended up like officially getting made. So I think that was like a big, very passionate about it, and she definitely felt very strongly about it. And this is the start of a very lucrative producing career for her. Whether or not it was as successful as maybe she had.
Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't bad. I would say it was a pretty good, early attempt at producing a movie. So good for Reese.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. I'm not gonna, say it's the best modern fairy tale, but I do like the fact that she was able to save herself. I don't like the fact that her mom was clearly the worst, but also, what do we expect from rich people?
It's true. It's true. You can't expect much.
Yeah. All about the looks and the money. Like, even after Penelope's nose was fixed, her mom was talking about her getting a nose job to make it even cuter, which is like, dude,
which was such an insane thing to say. I'm like, why would you say that to her right after you were saying, oh, I could have broken the curse a long time ago? It's like, you never would have been able to break this curse. It's like, I'm pretty sure even if Penelope didn't have the pig nose, she definitely would have still been on her ass about shit.
Yeah, I mean, you're curious about how Penelope would have been as a person. Like, would she have been as horrible as her mother? Because
I mean, it's possible.
Clearly.
Because her dad was just a doormat, so it's not like he was going to step in for anything.
He was, like, kind of a goofy dude and, like, a little funny, and I felt like maybe he actually loved Penelope for who she was, but then at the same time, it definitely would have meant that the curse was broken.
Yeah,
earlier,
so he's also not great.
He's
you know what? If they had
a
a butler, like a maid, like a nanny, she probably could have. Well, no, it would have been blue blood. Never mind.
It's got to be blue blooded. So
forgot about that.
They could have broken the curse if they had taught her self love. She could have broken the curse, but I mean, she did end up doing.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah,
Penelope's broke the curse. Good on her.
Good for her. Good for you, girl.
We love that for her. So, oh man, the next movie.
The next theme is Hidden Gem, and you're going to give your recommendation, and I will save mine for next week.
No one will ever be able to guess what the horror movie is.
Oh, so that's sad.
You can guess now in the next 3 seconds.
Yeah, we'll give you a moment now to think about it.
Think of a hidden gem.
Okay,
you got it?
Now. You need more time, please pause.
So the movie, if you guessed it, that I'm recommending for Megan next week is called The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Snow Hollow sounds like a pretty place.
Yes, it is. So this movie is basically about this police officer, and he is an officer of this small mountain town, and he's stressed out with dealing with everyone's paranoia after some bodies turn up mysteriously after each full moon. And yeah, that's the most I'm going to say about this movie. Okay. I hope you enjoy it.
I hope that there's love.
A little bit, maybe.
Oh God. All right.
A little bit teen romance, I guess.
Okay. Well, if you can guess what the romance is going to be, you can put it in. Maybe we'll make that our Spotify quiz or question. Okay. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll find a better way to introduce the horror so that there's a little bit more guessing.
I was like trying to think. I'm like, I really don't know. Maybe if we did Instagram poll or something.
Yes. Like, I mean, that would involve doing social media, and it hasn't been great. But, maybe we'll get on top of it. I keep promising that I'm gonna be better, but
Social media sucks.
media sucks. I don't even like doing it for my own stuff.
Ugh.
Ever.
Anyway,
Yep.
are you closing or me?
I don't know. I'll close.
Okay.
You can find us on our socials. We're How Do You Watch This? Or How Do You Watch, depending on which platform. We're on Instagram, Threads, Discord,
Gmail.
Thank you. That is an email address, howdoyouwatchthis@gmail.com. So all those places. You can also, if you just go to the Instagram, that would be my recommendation for you. But if you're someone who does not have Instagram, then I guess do it the old-fashioned way.
Then get one.
Just get one, just for our podcast. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, so we'll see you next week for our Hidden Gem Part 1.